So hello and welcome to another video. For those of you that are familiar with my videos, you'll probably recognise where I am. I'm back down in the Fenlands and I'm on Willow Lake. It's a day ticket fishery this, anybody can book on and fish here. Now I first come and fished here back in January at the beginning of this year, and I did a couple of sessions in the winter and a couple of sessions in the spring. So you know, I've had 4 sessions on here, but they was really good sessions and I really enjoyed them sessions. And you know, and the conditions was up against me back then, so it's a good place to come for, you know, for a bite in the colder months. Or it certainly was anyway. We'll have to see how this session goes. So I've arrived, I've had a good walk round the lake. It was torrential when I first got here, which is why I'm all dressed like I am. I've managed to get the bivvy up though, so you know, most of the hard work's done. I've situated myself in peg 20. I've got a bit of form in here. I've done a couple of sessions in here in the past and I know a couple of spots already. And one thing that I did pick up on last time I was here, them fish wanted to feed off of the clay spots. I mean, I was fishing one spot, a clay spot, and I had another rod just about 4 foot away fishing in the silt, and then I had one on the clay spot, and I had a couple of fish off the clay spot, but I couldn't get a bite off of the silt, which says a lot, you know. I mean, I was receiving liners on that rod, so you know, at that time the fish really wanted to feed off of them clear spots. So you know, I know that spot. I'm going to go out and I'm going to put one on that spot already. And also in this peg here, there's an out of bounds area to my left. You know, that's always going to be a spot that holds fish. I mean, I don't know if it's going to hold the fish at this time of year. I've been up the tree, I haven't seen anything up there, but you know, it's worth sacrificing one rod on that area. And you know, with the time of year that we're coming into now, we've already had them first couple of frosts. The surface temperature is going to be a lot colder now, and I'd imagine them silty areas of the lake are going to be the warmest parts. I mean, you know, in other lakes it depends on the depths and things like that and how big the lake is, but in general the silty areas of the lake tend to hold that warmth that little bit longer. And carp are cold-blooded, you know, they're going to be attracted to them warmer areas of the lake. So I'm not going to rule that out. Even though I've had bites off the clay spot before, I'm going to put one rod on the silt spot, I'm going to fish one rod on the clay spot, and one rod towards that out of bounds area. We'll touch on the tactics in more detail as I get going, but for now I just want to rig the rods up, get the rods fishing, and then we'll have a bit of a catch up in a bit. Well, adrenaline's pumping at the moment. Absolute carnage. It's kicked right off. I'd not even got the third rod out and the first rod was away. I'll touch on the tactics for that, but it was on a solid bag and it was taken on the TX1 banana and pineapple. So anyway, I got the fish in the net, just left it in the edge. It's nice and deep in that margin. Quickly whipped another solid bag on, popped it back out there, and I commenced finishing off the third rod, and then it was away again. Unfortunately, I lost that fish, but we've still got this one. I'm trying to be quick because I feel like I'm on eggshells at the minute, because I'm still getting the odd liner on that rod. There's clearly a few fish in that area. There we go, look. 22.7 is a bit angry, but a nice clean looking fish that. I tell you what, it's cold. It's really cold. My fingers are freezing. Oh, it's pucker. I'll quickly spin him round. And there we go, look. Absolutely shocked that it's ripped off as quick as that. Hopefully it's a sign of good things to come. Let's get him back. Well, we soon lost the light this evening. I arrived at about 1 o'clock today, so I arrived quite late anyway, but that's what time your fishing starts on this lake. By the time I'd had a walk round and got set up, it was probably about 3 o'clock before I had the rods in. So we didn't have that long left of the light. and like you say, I had that bite at around about 3:30, and that was quickly followed by another. But as soon as that light started to fade, the liner stopped on that left hand rod. I was I was sitting here, you know, quite confident of another bite, but as soon as that light dropped, the liners just stopped. Which, you know, if I go back to my last session back in March, that is what happened then as well. Although we're at the different end of the spectrum here, I mean, we're late autumn now, and back then it was early spring, but I'm seeing a lot of similarities to what the fish are actually doing on this session to that session. And what I mean by that is, you know, early spring the water was just starting to warm up, and late autumn now the water's just starting to cool down, but it seems to be that the fish want to be in them similar areas to where there was then. Yeah, and what actually happened back then is the fish would turn up in the afternoon and they'd go in that no fishing area, and you'd have a chance of, you know, maybe the odd afternoon bite in that area as the fish was passing to and from. And then as soon as the light levels favoured, they drifted out into open waters, and then, you know, you'd get the odd bite through the night. So fingers crossed, you know, we get a repeat of that. It is looking rather good, although I've not seen anything show out there. It's looking pretty good, and I feel really confident, especially for them open water rods. If I do get a bite on that, I'll call it the channel rod or bay rod, whatever you want to call it. It's the no fishing area. I'm fishing tight up to the rope on that one, so if I do get a bite on that tonight, you know, that'll not go back out until the morning. But I don't think I will, to be honest. I think if I are going to get a bite tonight, it'll be the open water. Now, when I first got here, you know, I had a quick feel out there just to make sure that clay spot was still there, not covered in sediment, and that's still there, and I found a nice silt spot. I'll go through everything in more detail tomorrow. I just want to get myself sorted now. I've been sitting here, I've got everything prepped, I've got a few bags made up, I've got some mesh bags made up, so we're all set now. So the rigs for this session then, I'll touch on the lake in a bit more detail tomorrow as well, for anybody that's not familiar, but it's quite a clear lake this, the water clarity is quite good. With that in mind, I've gone in on the combi rigs. I've gone in on the 20-pound fluorocarbon with a supple section at the end, and hook of choice for this session is the Nash Pinpoints in a size 5. And then on the solid bag rig, it's as simple as it gets with that one. I'm using the PB product silt wire. It's a very good bag material. That it's really supple, it's low in diameter, and it takes on the water really well, so it makes it quite a heavy material. And then I've got a number 1 shot pinched on that, and I'm fishing that with a size 7 claw and a 12mm pop up on that. Just scaled it down ever so slightly on that rod. And the bait we'll go through in a bit more detail tomorrow. You know, I have changed things as the water's starting to cool down. You know, I dropped certain things out of the mix, and especially with the mesh sticks that I'm making and the solid bags. You know, I'll go through that in a bit more detail, so you can see what I do to combat things as the water's starting to cool down. So yes, I'm feeling rather positive sitting here now, and I'm feeling very confident for tonight. It's a cracking little venue this, with a good stock of fish. You know, there's a good stock of 30-pound fish in here, and there's at least a couple of 40-pounders that I know of. I mean, I'm not too sure on the actual numbers of fish and how many 40s there is, but like I said, there's at least 2 for definite that I know of. I mean, if you're watching this, you know, and you're familiar with this lake, drop me a message or comment below. I'd be quite interested in knowing what is actually in here, because a lot of what I've read is very old stuff. I mean, it's got good history to it, this lake. I mean, I first clocked onto this lake about 10 years ago, and although it's not the water it once was, it's still a cracking venue, and there is still some of them old originals out there swimming. It's just not got that reputation of a big fish water like it used to anyway. But you know, there's enough out there to keep me interested. Long as they're above £30 and there's a chance of a 40, that's what gets my ticker going. So yes, I'm going to sign off now, and hopefully I shall be back in touch very soon with something carpy. Well, it's early hours now, it's just gone 1:30 in the morning and it's absolutely kicked off. I've just had 2 bites off the open water rod. Not together, separate takes. What actually happened was the first one ripped off and I landed that, and I just popped it in the retainer while I got the rod back out. And then I was just setting the camera gear up and it went again, the same rod, so 2 bites off that same spot. And this one here is a little bit special. It's just gone £32.4, another mirror. Oh, and there we go, look. I do apologise for the light, but I'm doing my best. Oh, an absolute cracker. Fenlands beauty. Don't mind if I do. Oh, I'll spin him round quickly. Oh, there we go, look. Pineapple and banana doing the business again. You know, it's my favourite bait come late autumn and winter. It really does come into its own, that. Spot on. Well, let's slip this one back and go and get the other one. Could it be a brace of 30s? Who knows? We'll have to find out. Well, he's not quite as big as I thought he was. I thought he might have been close, but it's turned out to be £26.10. But I'm chuffed to bits now. 3 fish, you know, a couple of 20s and a 30. Can't grumble at that. You know, we're not even 24 hours into the session. Complete madness. I never expected a session like this. It's another mirror. Bit more scalier than the last one. Tell you what though, this one gave a good account of himself. That 30 didn't really do much, it just come in a bit like a dog on a lead, you just feel the weight there. But this one, he was all over the place, had me running ragged. And here he is, look, still angry as ever. He's bristling up as we speak. But, chuffed to bits, absolutely chuffed to bits. I'll spin him round. I just hope the light and the camera's doing it justice. You know, but it's better than retaining them. And there we go, look. Pucker, absolutely pucker. Thank you, gorgeous. Mwah. Let's slip him back, and you never know, the night is still young. Well, good morning, and what a beautiful fresh crispy morning it is too. And we've had another one this morning. What a night to remember that was. The carp gods really did give to us last night. And this one's a bit of a character fish. He's got a lump on his side. He's just under the £30 mark. He's gone £29.8. Again, I've taken him off that open water spot. The channel rod has not done anything through the night, and I've not had any liners this morning yet, but I'm hoping we're going to capitalise on that rod in a bit later on. And there we go. Absolutely beautiful, that one. I really do like a character fish. I don't mean it's beautiful because it's got big massive scales all over it, but I like the character fish, I really do. And this one is a little character. Let's spin him round. Yeah, he's all scarred up. He's got some stories to tell, this one, and that's the way I like them. It's absolutely brilliant, this lake. I can't recommend it enough. You know, it's not always about catching 40s every time you go, but some of these. Let's slip him back. We are coming into early evening now. It's coming up to that time where I'm getting rather expectant of a bite from that channel rod. I do apologise for the lack of footage today, but I've had a visitor with me, a guy that watches all my videos, and incidentally a guy that's booked a couple of tutorial sessions. Yes, so I've had Martin with me most of today, so I've been having a good chinwag with him. But as I said before, I'll go through the bait in a little bit more detail. The actual spod mix is not that much different to what I usually do. It's still my pigeon conditioner mix, but I've took the big pieces of boilie out. I've got a bit of boilie crumb in there, my pigeon conditioner mix, and a little bit of hemp. And something that I'm doing different is I'm adding a few casters into the mix as well. Well, I'm not actually adding it into the mix, so to speak. I've got them separate, and I'll put a scoop of the pigeon conditioner in, and then I'll just finish it off with a sprinkle of casters on top. And like I mentioned, I'm not putting a lot out. Last night on the silt spot I put 3 spoms, and on the clay spot I only put the 1 spom out there. But my idea behind putting that out there is I want to invite everything to the party. Now as the lake's cooling off and that, you start to see the lake become less and less more active. By that I mean, the sighting of fish, even the roach and the bream and that, you're not seeing them as regular. So I really want to encourage everything to feed off of the spot. So I don't mind a few roach coming in and picking a few casters off, or the odd bream or tench for that matter. I just want to generate a bit of activity in that area. And my reason for doing this really, it's to generate a little bit of activity on the spot. If I can invite all the species to that one area to feed, it's going to create a bit more activity than what's going to be going on, out in the pond, say. I mean, there's obviously a lot of different views and opinions on this matter. I mean, at this time of year, a lot of people like to go out with the maggots because it's a live bait, and that creeping around, that just generates some interest. But for me, I just like to start to scale things down, and I suppose I'm adding something that's sort of natural, I suppose, casters. But for me it's just a smaller amount of bait, but trying to attract more species to the spot that I'm feeding on. And really the actual attractants and flavourings that I'm using, that's all going into my bag mix and my mesh sticks. I use PVA a hell of a lot at this time of year, and on my open water spots I'm using a 35mm mesh, and where I'm fishing up to the snags here where that rope is, I'm using a solid bag on that. It's the same mix that's going into it, so I'll talk to you a little bit about that now. So I like to use 2mm pellets. You get it's much easier for filling your bags, and I like to go with 2 different types. I want one that's a really slow breakdown, a hard pellet, which is got a lot of high oil content in there, that's gonna stop the water penetrating it and breaking it down so quickly. And then I want one that absorbs everything really quickly and breaks down to mush within 20-30 minutes. So you've got the best of both worlds out there. And my idea behind that, I suppose the way I refer to it is I call the ones that break down fast more instant attract, and the other ones I sort of call them more of a campaign sort of bait. And then what I like to add to the pellets is betalin, or beta stim as other people might know it as. I've not actually got it with me because I buy it in bulk. I buy it from British Aqua Feeds, and I use that throughout all the winter really. Depending on what water I go to, but in general you can guarantee if I'm using 2mm pellets on a bag mix or whatever, there'll be beta stim in there, and that's predominantly what I use. And then the only other additives that I add to that is I might add some boilie crumb, like I am on this session. I'm using a little bit of the LM94 boilie crumb, but them boilies have been glugging. They've been glugging in the LM94 food syrup, so they're not saturated all the way through, but by the time you grind them down and that, it's still a little bit of attraction. you know, and I might add certain different things, you know, depending on the lake I'm going to. Green lip mussel, I sometimes add that in liquid form, and I sometimes add liver powder. I've had great success with that through the colder months. Yeah, so you know, I suppose I've put a little bit of thought into the bag mix, and you know, sometimes at this time of year you'll put it out there, it could be sitting out there for quite some time, so you want something that's going to work for a long time. That's the reason for having two different types of pellets in there, and we're going to get different leakage rates, and I do prepare these, you know, at least a couple of days before I come fishing, so then pellets have time to take on, you know, the beta stim, the betalin, they have time to take on that liquid, so by the time you get here, the easy breakdown pellets, they're nice and soft, and believe it or not, the isolate pellets, the ones that take a lot longer to break down, they're still quite firm and hard. They don't take on the liquid nowhere near as much as the other. So as we progress and we get more and more into winter, you know, I sort of drop the spodding out altogether, depending on the lake, but on here I would drop that out altogether, and I rely solely just on the PVA bags, or you know, the PVA mesh. They're quite large bags, them, you know, it's quite a lot of bait really. If you was to drop one of them in the edge, it does look like, you know, fairly big. It's about the size of your two palms of hands together, so you know, it's quite a big signal out there on the bottom, especially if you're fishing a clear lake or whatever. It really does stand out like a sore thumb. I know most people like to go down the route with maggots and that through the winter, but I'm not a big fan really, and when I do use them, I only use them in moderation. I'd literally just be using a mesh sock of them if I was going to use them. I'm not one of these that likes to go and pile out a bloody gallon of maggots here, there and everywhere. I've seen what it does to the lakes. I mean, take Swan for example, it absolutely ruined the water clarity in there. You know, people were coming and piling gallons of maggots in, and the fish wasn't eating them, and then maggots can only go one place, and that's down into the lake bed, and then they start to rot and decay, and it causes a lot of ammonia, you know, and it really does ruin waters. So you know, if you are using maggots, just be respectful, be mindful of the fishery that you're fishing, you know, and be a bit sensible is what I'm trying to say. But failing that, if you use this bag mix, I guarantee you won't be disappointed. So yes, I've got a little bit of prep to do. I need to prep a few more mesh bags up, get a couple of mesh sticks made up, so I'm all set ready for tonight. I have just refreshed the two open water spot rods, and popped out another couple of spawns of bait over each of them. Oh, he's a banger. He's a big fish. Well, it hasn't been too long since I last spoke to you. It's been about 30 minutes, and as predicted, that bay rod's gone. A bit special, this one. Biggest fish I've had from this current lake anyway. 35 pound 9 ounce, it's just gone. Very solid fish. Nice slow ploddy fight this one, didn't go berserk, but you knew you was attached to something nice. And it's another mirror. It definitely is a mirror session. And there he is, look. Check him out. A Fenlands cracker. Oh, I'm made up with him. Absolutely buzzing. He's given me a right old soaking as well. My face is wet through. But am I happy? Yes, I am. Bloody chuffed to bits, I really am. And there he is, look. What an absolute beast. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, you've made my trip. Pucker. I'm going to slip him back. Well, we're just setting the scene for this evening. I've not seen a carp show out there at all today. In fact, all today it's been completely dead. You know, so it was nice to get things right. I predicted that bay rod would go this afternoon, and it did. So fingers crossed, you know, them open water spots pay off again tonight. But can this session get any better? It's been an absolute blinder. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I absolutely love this place, I really do. It's a little gem. And to think this is not as good as what it used to be, you know, it must have been something special back in its day, because to me it's still quite a special water. Well, I'm sitting here now, I've still got my waders on, I'm ready to pounce. You know, there's every chance that margin rod could still go off yet. I say margin rod, I mean the channel rod. I'm not too sure what time it was I got the first bite on the open water. I think it was around about 2 o'clock in the morning. I tell you what though, there's some really nice, lovely old original fish in here. I mean, all them fish that I've had on this session, they look like the newer stock of fish. I had a session here in the winter and I had two really old, you know, gnarly old looking fish. One was a common and one was a mirror. And in particular, that mirror, oh, it really was a character fish, that. You know, I really do like fish like that. Well, I'm sitting here now thinking, you know, a common would be nice. But then again, you know, a session with all mirrors, it's not a bad session. Especially after coming from Swan, you know, I've had quite a few commons on Swan. So it is quite nice to get a few mirrors. Although they're not scaly bangers, they're still nice fish nonetheless. I tell you something though, it's a lot colder this evening. I mean, in fact last night it was quite mild for most of the night. It didn't really start to get cold until about 1-2 o'clock in the morning, and then come 4 o'clock in the morning it was absolutely freezing. There was a slight frost on the ground this morning, but me being me, I did feel it. I was shivering at 4 o'clock this morning. The only time I felt warm was when I got in a sleeping bag. You know, the joys of fishing, I suppose. We do put ourselves through some elements, you know, chasing these big fish. and you either love it or hate it. And me, I absolutely love it, and I cannot see me wanting to spend my time doing anything else other than this. I've just been glancing on YouTube while I've been sitting here, and we've just hit another milestone on the YouTube channel, and we've just gone over 2,000k subscribers. So, you know, double thumbs up on that. I really appreciate everybody taking the time to watch the videos, you know, and subscribing to the channel. It really means a lot to me. A lot of hard work and effort goes into making these videos, and it's not cheap neither. I mean, I'm in a position at the moment where I need to upgrade my camera. You know, it's getting old now, my camera, and I really need to push on, you know, and bring the videos onto the next level. So that's where I'm at the moment. So, you know, the fact that people are supporting me, you know, it's making it all worthwhile. Whether or not I'll get the camera that I actually want is another story, but one thing's for sure, it'll be second hand. You know, Christmas is coming up now. Christmas is only 6 weeks away. Got that to think about. And I could really do with a new barrow as well. My barrow, I've had it for about 7 years now, and God knows how many different wheels I've had on it. But it is just so hard to push at the moment. So yes, I definitely need to treat myself to a new barrow. Hopefully Santa might bring me one of them. I'm hoping he does anyway. Well, I'm pretty much set for the winter ahead of us. I think it's going to be rather a bad one though. I mean, especially if you look at the weather we've had recently, the amount of rainfall we've had and the drop in temperatures. You know, it's been a bit harsh for some people, and I'd hate to live in them areas that have been flooded. You know, it's been especially bad up near me. Doncaster and Worksop and Sheffield, they've all been affected, and Worksop, that's the worst I've ever seen it there. You know, and I can't help but think now, you know, with the otters that are in these river systems, you know, they're going to be heading inland now looking for an easy meal with them rivers ripping through like they are. That's one thing that plays on my mind a lot. I mean, last year I seen it with my own eyes, a massive increase with the otters. Even on here where I'm fishing at the moment, there was a family of 5 that kept coming and hunting on here. And on the folly as well, you know, they kept nipping in over there. Although they didn't stay in the lake, they kept nipping over. So, you know, it's always playing on my mind. And I've seen loads of stuff floating about on social media. Oh, it's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking to see it. But they are an apex predator, and it looks like they're increasing more and more every year. Anyway, less of that negativity. You know, I hate talking about things like that. It's a good session this, let's talk more positive. The camera is really struggling to start picking up a picture now. It is near on darkness now, so I'm going to have to cut it short. Not only that, the camera battery is flashing at me. So until something carpy happens, I'm going to leave it there. Speak to you very soon. Well, good morning, and what an eventful morning it's been. I hope you can hear me alright with this rain that's pattering in the bivvy at the minute, but it's been like this since the early hours. since that fish last night, nothing happened through the night. I got a couple of liners on the channel rod just as it was going dark, but then everything went quiet. The weather changed dramatically, as you can see. It's been raining since the early hours, and the wind switched round last night. It switched round to blowing in my face. I've been on the back of it throughout the session. But this morning things have changed again. The wind has swung back round, so the wind's on my back, but this rain remains. It's, you know, relentless, and it's made it really hard for me this morning, but it's been a very, very productive morning. I've got a fish in the retainer, and that is a very good fish. It's a 40-pounder that, my first 40 from this lake. So yeah, I popped that fish in the retainer, got the rod back out, and was kind of hoping for a little gap in the weather, and then it ripped off again, and I've got another fish in the net. So, you know, absolute carnage. But in between that, putting the rod back out, I mean, I'm solid bag fishing on that channel rod. That's the bite that's done the rod. That's the rod that's done the bites this morning. You know, and fishing solid bags in this weather, it's hard work. And I was rushing about trying to get the rod back out, and I've had a bit of a slip this morning and slipped into the lake. I've cut my hand, and not only that, you know, I got a bit of water over the waders, so I'm sitting here now pretty cold, let me tell you. I'm shivering, but you know, needs must and all that. I've still got a few hours left of my session. It doesn't look like I'm going to get a gap in this weather, so unfortunately, you know, it's not very good photography skills, but I'm going to have to put the camera in the bivvy, you know, and do the filming just outside the door. It's not good having a light background, I know, but in this situation, needs must, I suppose. So what an awesome session it's been. I mean, I've not weighed that fish that's in the net yet, but it looks very, very close to 30-pound, that fish. So that puts the total up to 7 fish so far. Probably one of the best autumn sessions I've had, to be honest. And I'm glad that you lot can come along and share the session with me. Well, it's getting on for around about 10 o'clock now, so I need to start, you know, start picturing these fish. I need to be off the lake by 1 o'clock. That's what time the changeover is here. There is a few people walking round that are coming on today. I think one of them's interested in dropping in behind me as well. But other than that, I mean, when I first got to the lake, there was only 2 people on, and as we speak, there's only 3 people on. So it's not been overly busy. It's been a very enjoyable session despite the weather, and the fish have just made it a total awesome session. All mirrors. But yeah, I'm itching to get these fish out, so hold tight. I'm gonna go and get them for you. Well, I do apologise for the light background, but needs must, as I said. But here it is. It's a special fish for me, this one. Yeah, this one marks the 10th UK 40 I've had now. So, you know, it's hitting them double figures. So, you know, I'll always remember this fish, and I'll always remember this session. It's been an absolute blinder. Right, let's get him up. 40-pound 12 he's gone. Another mirror. Real solid fish, this. And I tell you what, it didn't put up a fight at all. It just come in like a dog on a lead. It just felt weighty, but come straight in. And there he is, look. Check him out. What an absolute beast. Oh, real solid fish, that. I'll just spin him round and clean that lens so I've got some rain on it. Oh, and there's the other side, look. What a creature. Oh. I'm absolutely made up. I'm chuffed to bits with him. Let's get a few stills and slip him back. Oh, thank you, my lovely. Oh. Well, I said it was close to 30 and it's just scraped it. £30 2 ounce this one's just gone. Oh, I am absolutely chuffed to bits. Although I'm freezing and I'm soaking, it's all been worthwhile. I've waited a long time for an autumn session like this. And there we go, look. You have made my trip. Well, the whole trip. You know, I'm absolutely speechless. I'm running out of things to say because it's just blown me away. It really has. I'm going to quickly show you the other side. Oh, and there's the other side, look. He's very, very feisty. I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to slip him straight back. Well, I've got to be quick because I've literally got an hour left to pack up. I've been sitting here going through my phone. My phone's been like an absolute hotcake, you know, since putting a few posts on Facebook. So yeah, I started the process of packing down and then the rod was away again. I've got another one in the net. A common this time, so it's nice to see a common, and at first glance it looks like one of the originals. I can't confirm that just yet, but once I get a closer look at it I'll know for sure if it is or not. There's not many of the originals left in here now, but what are left are quite special fish. Well, they are in my opinion anyway. I tell you what though, that feeling that I've got at the minute where you know if you stop, you know, you could go on to have an even better session. It's one of them. The weather is cock on for it at the minute. The pressure's right below the 1,000, 980 odd the pressure's at, which is really, really low. And now the you know, the chill's cleared. It's actually quite a mild day, and I do believe there's a few bites to be had today. But you know, we've got to go, we've got to pack up, I've got to get home. I'm on the school run today, so I'm going to get this fish out and we'll call it a day there, I think. I've not bothered putting that rod back out, I've not got the time. So yes, without further ado, let's go and get him. Well, I'm so glad of the break in the weather. At least I can pack down in the dry now. And it does look like an original fish, this. £23 2 ounce. It looks like it's got some war wounds. It's got withered fins. Looks like an old fish to me. Yeah, his dorsal's all withered away as well. Oh, I do love fish like this. Here he is, look. Little bar of gold and a nice way to finish. What an absolute, truly awesome session. Oh, brilliant. And there's the other side, look. What a truly magnificent fish. Oh, tell you, this session, brilliant. And he's behaving himself. And you wouldn't have thought that from the fight, because out of all the fish I've had, this one's been the hardest fighter. You know, you often find that with commons. Oh, well, that's it. Nothing left for me to do apart from slip this one back and pack up. So I'm going to take this opportunity to say goodbye and thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I shall see you on the next one.